What is up, you guys? Welcome back to the channel. If you were here on the last episode, you saw that this is just normal stuff, being surrounded by hundreds of dolphin. But it's not the dolphin we're after out here, it is what lays beneath them. So if you haven't checked out last episode, check it out. But today is going to be day 2 in Costa Rica. We popped our yellowfin cherry yesterday, and today we're hoping to either well, basically I'm not gonna shoot one unless like they're really thick and we're around big ones. But I'm super stoked, guys. If you're not already, subscribe to the channel, like this video, and I will see you guys down below.
All right, you guys, welcome back underwater. Now this is my first drop, first dive of the day. We hop in and I'm expecting it to be routine. If you haven't seen the last episode, definitely at the end of this one, check it out. I remembered to put the timers on this one. So I go ahead and make my first drop. Obviously, I see all the dolphins right there, so I know the tuna are not far behind. And remember, it comes in waves. It's the dolphin, then the smaller tuna, and then the bigger tuna come around. And now these smaller ones were a little bit bigger than the small ones we were running into the day before. These ones are probably maybe 30 pounders, some 20 pounders, but the ones yesterday were all like 15 to 20 pounds small ones. But these ones were around and they were thick. Now if I'd seen these the first day, I probably would have popped one of them. There was a decent one down lower, but I was kind of waiting for the ones to come beyond, and I'm facing into the direction they're coming from, hoping that one, you know, is a significantly bigger than what I've been seeing. But on this pass, I didn't see any bigger ones. But the tuna were around. That was a good sign, good way to start the day. And, you know, hopefully we get into some bigger ones and some more action later on. But day starts off pretty slow, but either way, I'm going to take you with me and we're going to check it out. So now this is the second or third drop we do, and I'm using that new Rob Allen Timberline single roller, which I am absolutely thrilled with the performance of this gun. This thing is easily, hands down, the best spear gun I've ever used. It's on the higher end, not just a normal rail gun, and it is an absolute cannon for tuna, and it's versatile because you can go after some reef fish too. But I go ahead and do a quick breathe up. I see tuna from the surface, and you can kind of barely make them out. And the fact that I saw them from the surface, and these guys are like maybe, I think 40, 50 feet down, something like that. They're big, and you can see just the size of them off in the distance. You can tell their tassel, like that one up in front, his sickles that come off of the fins that come at the dorsal and the anal fin, those are called their sickles. They were huge, and they weren't spooked. I didn't want to press them because I didn't want to like just take a Hail Mary or a dumb shot, so I just wanted to let the guys know and then maybe make another drop on these fish.
Woo! There are some big ones. Holy shit. Dude, I saw like 150, 60 pounder. Hey, they're in the front. They're in the front of the spinners.
So now I'm so fired up. This is, I think, the next drop we did. And there's the dolphin. I didn't see any big ones ahead of the dolphins, but I made a drop, and sure enough, here are so many little ones. And I ended up getting like a little impatient at the end. I was like, okay, no bigger ones are gonna come by. But and I kind of line up on one if one gave me an easy like stone shot. But they were so thick. I was hoping the bigger ones would come through, but on this drop, we ended up dropping too far behind, and I think the bigger ones were way up in front. But yeah, there was no short supply of tuna in these schools that we were diving on. They were just everywhere. And from going 2 days before, never have shot or seen a yellowfin tuna in the water, to this, it was magical. And it got, I mean, words can't describe how much life this place produced. And the sea life, it was incredible, and absolute perfect diving conditions on top of that. And I was kind of hesitating, maybe shooting that little guy there at the end.
I almost was gonna shoot one. They were bigger than we've been seeing.
Now, we've been diving for hours at this point. And I was, like I said, it was all those little guys. I tried to be selective, and it's kind of midday now, and I'm thinking to myself, okay, any decent sized one that comes by, I'm gonna take a shot. So I make a drop, go down to the thermocline, right before the thermocline, and that's usually where the tuna hang out. They go in and out of that thermocline, up and down. And I turn, and here comes some bigger tuna, and all these were around like 70, maybe bigger, and that was a nice size one that I kind of was looking at, but I'm not gonna, be super picky. If one gives me a shot, I'm gonna take it, especially, not using a giant cannon, but this roller does the trick. That was a clean path through, and while I'm doing this, Ricky is actually shooting another fish, but he ends up letting his float go. We thought his may have been a bigger one than mine because it was absolutely barreling the float. So now I go ahead and hook up my gun. I'm letting the float wear out the fish a little bit while he's fighting it.
Ricky, you got one? We got doubled up.
And now we got the fighting float, so we have a float with a tuna clip on it, and
it's a really good shot. It went all the way through.
Now I kind of have the fish strung up a good amount, and now it's time for Frog to go down and put a backup shot in him. And now this fish really keeps turning away from him, which tends to be a problem. And the amount of fight these fish have is incredible. But he tries to get a headshot, and that's the best one. If you can get a headshot, that's what you really want. But this thing was not turning, but he just wanted to make sure we get a secure spear in the fish, and that we'll be able to pull him up from 2 points rather than just the one, and the potential of it ripping out. It just makes it half the amount of pressure on the one spear, and it divides it between the both. So now we finally get this thing to where we can get our hands on it. Frog goes down and he wrestles around with it a little bit, but we finally try to get the knife in the head. And it's not like a snapper where you just get a hold of the fish and you got the fish. You have to brain these things, otherwise there's a high chance they'll take off out of your hands. And if you haven't seen that first episode, the first part of this, like I said at the end, be sure to watch it. You'll see the true power that these things really have.
I think that's an upgrade.
go get that other one.
Let's upgrade it.
Let's secure it.
That's a good one.
Let's secure our...
There you go.
It's definitely longer than the one before.
Yeah.
All right,
Awesome.
let's see. Let's bring it through here.
Yeah, well, hold on. Let Paulo get the fins out of the way.
Yeah.
Now we have Ricky's camera, and like I said before, my whole tuna was before he shot his, or maybe it was after. I think on this dive, you'll hear my gun go off right before his goes off. But it's roughly the same school. We all hop in, and the school is spread out, so you just have to get lucky and hope that, you know, a bigger one comes by you. That might be me up in the top of the screen. But Ricky makes a drop, perfect drop, and his shot, he's using a bigger gun, like a 3-band gun, and he shoots super far away, and that fish was hauling butt. And you'll see him aim at the head of it, and at the end of this, you'll see where the shot landed, which is incredible. But this thing pops in out of the murk, aims right at its eye, takes the shot, and this thing just goes berserk. And it buries his float. Not buries it, but it tombstones it really, really well. And it's not letting up anytime soon, so that's when Ricky decides to come over and help me out with my fish. So after we got my fish in the boat, Ricky went over. We got his fish, we got his float, we got the fighting float, and now Frog is using a third-person camera, and you'll see my spear come into frame, and I'm putting the backup shot. And since this guy's kind of chill, I'm just gonna go for a stone shot if I can. And that's exactly what you want to have happen. You see him quiver like that. That means he's pretty much lights out. We don't have to worry about chasing him around down deep, fighting him. But this one, I saw the sickles looked significantly bigger than ones before. And yeah, I just love this kind of diving out in the crystal clear water. Beautiful, beautiful stuff.
Hell yeah, dude. Dude, look at the sickles on that one. All right, so Ricky got it done. I couldn't resist. I had to get back in there, try to spear another one. But yeah, it was. Look at his, dude. Look at the sickles on that one. That was a good one. That's a beautiful fish. Nice job. Nice job, dude. Watch out, watch out. How much do you think that one weighs?
75.
75. How much do you think the one I shot weighed? Like similar?
The same neighborhood.
Same
yeah.
neighborhood? 32. Heck yeah. All right, well, I knew it looked like an upgrade. It did.
Well, just weigh all that and then try to figure out the mass of the head.
Yeah.
And we'll come up with a number tonight.
And all the amount of blood that poured out of the... Dude, that was unreal.
It got
30
it.
pounds of...
There you go.
Hold on. Get them all pretty. There you go.
Yeah. Where did he say to throw it? On him?
So it just got chaotic. We were diving this pinnacle reef area, and we hopped in, and a wahoo was just circling the boat. Frog told me to get a flasher, so I had my little throw flasher, and I just kept making tosses of it, and this guy was just giving us the runaround. He was coming in, checking out the flasher, swimming up to it, and you'll see him swimming up to it from the left. And he was just out of range. I could have maybe tried to pursue him, but he was so chill and he wasn't leaving. He just kept hanging out in the area, and I just started slapping the water, and he just kept coming up to the surface to check us out.
It's coming towards you, Ricky.
So now Ricky, that thing went right by him, and Ricky shot him from the surface. He wasn't too sure on the shot, but we start chasing after his float, and the thing hasn't taken a huge run yet.
Hey, we don't have to horse him if you're unsure on the shot.
Being that we weren't sure on the shot, Ricky didn't put a lot of pressure on it, and I swam way up ahead following the float line, and I could see it going down into the depth, and that's whenever I made a drop. I was like, okay, the fish is kind of roughly around this area, and I go down to try to put a backup shot, and I'm hauling butt down there, and I end up running out of float line on my float, and the fish was kind of not giving me the perfect look, so I took a shot, and he moved right as I pulled the trigger, and I made a horrible backup shot. Just what I say to try to not do, I made a horrible backup shot. It's kind of funny what I say at the surface to Ricky. But at least having another shot in him is better than not having any, and you'll see why at the end of this.
Now we got 2 bad shots in him. He like moved right when I pulled the trigger. You got him belly shot and I got a high shot, so at least we didn't mess up the meat. Fast! Fast! Yo, hurry! Alright, come on. Yeah, look at that. A little bit. Yeah, I'm super lucky. I was like, oh, I think I might be able to reach him. I maxed my float line, and I was like, shoot, and he like, I just took a shot on.
Say something to your viewers.
Oh, that was freaking awesome. We were not expecting that, or I don't know, maybe we were, but this thing was giving us the runaround. He was just patrolling, and we kept throwing flashers and stuff, and then I started slapping the surface, and then he came up from the depths, came by me, looked at the flasher, then literally went straight to Ricky. Ricky, do you have your GoPro on?
Yeah.
Good man.
Yeah.
Good. That sounds about right.
So that is a prime example of why it's so important to buddy dive. If I or Ricky or another diver wasn't there ready to like put a backup shot, his shot would have pulled, and you know, that just goes to show like putting a backup shot, that's like critical. So if you can like get him up at least depth, like that one I had to dive, but it was crazy. My freaking float line started running out of room because I was like maxing out the depth, and yeah, but fortunately it was enough to like clip him, and my shot held, and then same thing, it was barely hanging on, and Ricky came up and put a killer backup shot. So we're gonna get back in the water and see what we get after. All right, you guys, we're done offshore. Now we're gonna be trying to some deeper spots in some reef, shallower areas. Well, shallower, I mean like it's 120 feet, but we're gonna be diving maybe like 80, 90 to get to some of these fish, and hopefully we get some snappers, cuberas, yellow snapper, mullet snapper, but yeah, I heard the life here is incredible, so let's get down there and take a look. Now we get to the real reef of Costa Rica, and this is amazing how much life is on these spots, and it's just different layers and columns of certain types of fish, and a lot of these are jacks. They almost look like a horse eye or a jack crevalle. And they're just vortexing on this spot in this area, and it's really cool seeing all the fish and like what it should look like if an area was a little less pressured, and this was amazing. And we even saw a wahoo cruise through, another wahoo cruise through on this area, but I go down. This is my first drop. I'm not really knowing what to expect. I don't know how deep the fish are. I don't know if I need to go all the way to the bottom. But I was kind of just doing like a little survey. I only went to 62, and we're in like 120 at this spot. But yeah, just the life from top to bottom. Even at the surface, there were little palmettos swimming around, and it was like swimming in a different world. And I love going to a foreign country and diving. It's nothing beats it, and it's just really gets me out of my comfort zone. So shortly after, this is Ricky's vantage point. This is on his GoPro. He makes a drop, and he actually comes up with a fish. So we've making a couple of drops on this area. Know that we have to dive a little bit deeper. So he ends up going, I think like 80 something on this one. I don't remember, but I'll have it up on the screen. But he goes through those jacks, keeps his eyes peeled because he knows that there's going to be something kind of coming up from the bottom to check him out. And sure enough, that's exactly what happens. He takes his real sweet time, just kind of coasting down, getting through all these fish. And you'll be able to start making out bottom, and once that happens, I'm pretty positive he just coasts. So right there, you're starting to make out the bottom, and here comes some snapper off in the distance, and they're not Cubera snapper, but they are yellow snapper. I think those are some to the right, and he's just kind of panning around, seeing if anything else is around, if a big Cubera comes up, and yeah, he's at 88. But you can kind of make out the fish right there at the top of his spear gun. And there were a lot of these things down there, and they're called a yellow snapper. They almost resemble a mix between a schoolmaster and a dog snapper. And you'll get a closer look on whenever I do a underwater footage with Ricky with his fish. But he heads up to the surface, and if he shot a bigger fish, we would definitely want to grab that float line and rip him up off the bottom, because Frog said if they get tangled up in the reef in the bottom, it's going to be a nightmare because they're in 120. And the main thing they do is they shoot for the bottom once they get hit, so ripping them up is always a good idea.
That's deep. Little snapper. Yeah.
Now there's Ricky's snapper that he's pulling up, and now I'm prepping for a dive. Again, I think I go a little deep on this one. He told me that he was, at like 88, so I was like, all right, so if I want to go see the fish, I need to get down a little deeper. So we drifted a little bit as he was at the surface, so we moved off the spot where he just shot his fish, and now I switched to the Rob Allen carbon roller. Now I'm not shooting the timberline. This is more the rail gun, and I have a reel on it. So now whenever I go out diving, I have my main gun, the timberline, that I use for float and breakaway, and then I also have this carbon gun for reef fish if I'm going to shoot the reel. So I head down. I don't really see any snapper, but I do see, actually no, there was a snapper right there. So there was a snapper kind of darting away from me, and on this dive I go down, I think 90, 91, something like that, and I see all the snapper down deep, and they're all like in a school off to the right. Thinking back, I probably should have gone a little deeper. It would have been really cool to kind of make out more of the bottom and see what it is, but I wasn't really feeling great, mainly because I'm newer to this area, but and I was kind of overwhelmed by all the fish. Like, you see all those little palmettos swimming around the surface. I just love seeing the ocean life. But yeah, I wasn't feeling my greatest, but still I was able to make at least some decent dives, and Ricky ended up slaying it on this spot. Here's Ricky's cam we're switching back to. Like I said, he killed it on this spot. So he makes another deeper dive. Same deal. I just can't get over how many fish are at this spot and in this area. And I'm sure this was just one of the reef areas we went to, and we only went to, I think, 1 or 2 of them. And it did not disappoint. There was just so much freaking life on these things, and it was like clockwork. Once you get through all the jacks, you start making out the bottom, and then you'll see the snappers swimming around in the mid-water column just above the reef. And I'm sure once you get deeper, I'm sure there's grouper, big cuberas, all sorts of stuff down deeper. But we were hitting around like the 80, 90 foot range, and that's where all of the yellow snapper were hanging out. Like I said, these things were like similar to dog snapper. That guy came in to check out something, and Ricky ended up giving them the shaft. And like I said, at the end of this, I'll show you what these things really look like. And yeah, I see him pointing up. He wasn't sure if that thing could make it down to the bottom and get hung up. So I saw Ricky. I didn't see he shot his gun off, but once I saw him pointing up, that's when I popped my head up and yelled to Frog to start tugging up on the line.
Nothing big, but
so there you get a full view of these yellow snapper. Absolute beautiful fish. Like I said, a good mix between a similar to a dog snapper. So now here goes my drop. Again, Ricky pulling up another snapper, and on this drop I don't go that deep, but I do see a different species, and you'll see it. I mean it's pretty much very similar behavior to the cuberas in the US and the Bahamas. I make a drop. Once I'm about to like pull the trigger or show any signs of aggression towards the fish, they spook. So there it is at the top of the screen, kind of hanging out mid-water column. Nice little cubera. You can see because of the black on his tail. And once I extend the gun, he just flutters and heads down to the bottom. Totally blew my chances on that guy. But it would have been nice to get a, you know, Costa Rica cubera. Wasn't a stud, but it would have made really good tasting fish at night. And just giving you guys a heads up, the amount of fish I ate for this whole trip was insane, and I don't regret it all. It was all freaking delicious, and I'll do it again if I have to. I love eating the fish here, especially the variety between tuna, wahoo, and snapper.
All right, you guys, we finally made it back, and what a freaking day. I mean, we could have kept shooting tunas all day, but we just decided not to. I mean, it's just too much meat. We're gonna give a little bit to the locals, but I'm also gonna maybe see about giving some to my family and friends, anybody who needs some, and I'm gonna eat the crap out of it tonight. We ate a ton last night. We're gonna eat a ton today. It is just wild out here, and what a freaking vessel to be on. This 39 ST Contender, it is an absolute tank, and there's so much space, perfect for diving. And with that dive platform, makes it getting in and out easy. I can even hop over the gunnels to get in, and it's such a dry boat. So yeah, really fortunate to get out on this. We're lucky enough to Frog to take us. What do you think of the day today?
Good day.
Yeah, you slayed the reef fish. I didn't get any snapper. I was staring at them, but I didn't get any. Ricky was we were doing some deep dives.
We didn't have too many options.
Yeah. So. Yeah, you'd have had to go to 100 to get to some of the big cuberas. I saw them down there, but they were a little far off. What do you think, Richard?
mission accomplished.
Yeah.
Great time, good weather, nobody got hurt.
Yeah, beautiful trip. Yeah, everybody was safe.
We saw what we wanted to see, and it doesn't get any better than that.
What a good experience.
No, it's definitely another planet out here.
Definitely gonna do it again though.
Yeah.
Yeah. Epic times, epic times. All right, you guys, I just got showered up. I'm at my crib. We're gonna go out to dinner. I'm gonna roll a little bit of footage while I'm talking on what we had tonight. We had an assortment of different styles of fish, as well as different varieties of fish, and all from today that we speared. So I love getting out there trying fish that literally I've never tried before, and I highly suggest you guys do it too. So now you guys, I really love taking you on this adventure. If you enjoyed it, give it that thumbs up. If you're new, consider subscribing. If you have any questions, definitely drop them down below in the comments. I hope I answered anything. If you're uncertain about anything, feel free to drop it down below. And I usually try to do a good job of responding to my comments. Thank you for watching the whole thing. I know it was a long one, but I'm so stoked I was able to show you guys a foreign country and just explore a new territory and shoot some freaking monsters. If you haven't checked out the last episode, I'll leave a link, and make sure you give that a look. Like always, guys, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next week for another adventure. Later.